What up, HoopSpaces? Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Wizards Weekly. I'm your host, Justin. If you're looking for great basketball content in general, go ahead and shoot HoopSpaces a subscription, like, follow, and all that stuff. And if you're looking for more Wizard-specific content, head over to my channel. That's Point Wizards on YouTube and Twitter. Now, in terms of the Wizards team this season, they're still kind of the definition of mid, sitting at 25 and 29 overall, ninth in the Eastern Conference standings. There's, good and bad about this team. For starters, they're big three, right? Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, Kyle Kuzma. These are three guys that complement each other fairly well in the offense, and you're in a threat to give you 20 points from any of those positions, if not from all three, if your defense is not going to be careful. Right now, all three of them are averaging between 21 to 22 points, so that's been a pretty consistent thing this season that's helped us out a lot. Now, in terms of the supporting cast, we have a few nice players. A lot of them are kind of developing and trying to figure out how to mesh with the team. Daniel Gafford's a bright spot, third year with us from out of Chicago. We have Denny Avdia, who we drafted from Tel Aviv 3 years ago, who started to find his, hopefully, offensive aggression. DeLon Wright, we signed out of Atlanta last offseason. And we have a few more guys, too, that have been helpful, but those are three standouts for me. Couple things that have held us back this season and maybe even historically, but especially this season has been health. Bradley Beal has missed at least a third of the games this season. That's really hurt. And for a team that really does have a slim margin for error most nights, we've missed key role players for a month stretches at a time, including Rui Hachimura and DeLon Wright. It has really caused some issues for us being able to really complete games and compete in a night in and night out basis. Another thing that holds us back kind of is roster construction. It's not a team that tends to draft well for instant impact players. At best, they're guys that really do take some time to develop and get confidence in the NBA game, which happens across the league, I'm sure, but it's a fairly consistent thing with these Wizards. Right now, our roster is fairly unbalanced. We don't really have any true threes on this team, and if you have enough wings and enough bigs or enough rim penetration, anybody can really beat us. That said, this past week, the Wizards were fairly balanced, picking up 2 wins against Charlotte and Indiana and losses against Brooklyn and Cleveland. 2 terrible losses, to be honest, but they bounced back pretty well against Charlotte and Indiana, especially because Kyle Kuzma was out. Our player for this past week so far has to be Kristaps Porzingis. Now, this next week is a little tough for the Wizards. They have 3 away games and 1 1 home game. The 3 away games, Golden State, Portland Trailblazers, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Then they come back on Friday and play the New York Knicks at home. Now, as well with Kyle Kuzma being out for maybe at least till Monday, 4 games in 5 nights is a tough stretch for anybody. And again, with a team with a slim margin for error, I see that really hurting the Wizards. In terms of an overall record expectation for next week, I expect the Wizards at best to go 2-2 with wins against Minnesota, who they dominated earlier this season, like 145 to like 120, and then maybe getting their revenge on the Knicks from the last game that they lost. Even though Steph is out, I do see the Warriors still beating them at home, and Portland just beat us by coming back from being down 20 a few weeks ago. So I think they still have whatever it takes to beat us, and the Wizards really have to prove that they can step up. Personally, I think that the Wizards go 1-3 with the with the 1 win coming to Minnesota, and everybody else, taking L's too. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, again, go ahead and hit subscribe for HoopSpaces. Then head to my channel, Point Wizards, and hit subscribe there for more amazing basketball content. Till next week, take care.